we're back in DayZ, and we are doing a tips and tricks. So I did this last year, and it seemed to actually help out a ton of people. So we're going to be doing something simple and kind of going over the core mechanics of the game. Now, for some of you, this might seem really basic. For others, this is going to be a really helpful kind of breakdown of every element of DayZ to the best of my ability, as fast as possible. So we're going to start with movement. So in the game, you can jump with the A button. And this is for Xbox. We're on Series X, but it applies to the Xbox One, Xbox One X. So yeah, A to jump, B crouches. Now keep in mind, look at the left there, the bottom left of the screen. So you see the 3 bars there. So that's how noisy I'm being. So you can make more noise if you're running. If you're walking, it's a little bit less. You see running, and yeah. So that actually matters because that's gonna say, basically it's going to be like, hey zombies, I'm here, or hey, I'm actually quiet and the zombies are not really noticing me as much. So that's a big part of it. I'm just going to eat a pear there. I'm not trying to show anything off. I just want to keep my food up. So next you can hold B, you can go to prone, and that's, really quiet obviously, and it gives you a good spot where you can kind of see and do things. So yeah, you can actually move around here, go on your back, do this, like punch and everything like that. And do a kick. Well, so when you're on the ground, you can actually roll under things like fences. So you could double tap like LB, and you can actually click RB too, do the same thing. And it also can be a good way for you to switch the perspective that you're using on your shoulder if you need to as well, which is kind of cool, right? Definitely something interesting to keep in mind. So we've covered that. You can see there. Okay, so we got a stamina bar. So as we're running around, you can see the stamina bar is depleting. And the stamina bar is affected by kind of what we have on us. I don't know if this is really the thing that's impacting it, but no, that's not it either. Something is impacting it. Sorry, as you put on certain items and you have like certain stuff in your inventory, it actually takes up some of your stamina bar. So you only have so much stamina, and you need stamina to do things such as like climb stuff. So you can't climb that, but we can show it off on a wall when we get over here. So yeah, your stamina is important. It's how you're able to get around and how you're able to move. When your stamina is depleted, you can't run or anything, and you have to wait for it to kind of get back. But yeah, it's also how you climb things. So you need so much stamina in order to climb stuff or vault over things. It depends on the object. Oh, this is not a good fence for this, I don't think. There we go. So you can actually like climb over objects, or you can vault over objects. Very helpful. Just again, a good mechanic for kind of moving around. We're kind of hiding at the end of the docks here just because it's like an easier place for me to kind of show things off. So we're going to run back over here. Obviously, in the bottom right, you can see a bunch of icons. So we've got things such as your liquid, your drinking, and then we've got food, and then we've got our heat, because heat matters in the game. So you can wave over an object like this, like your clothing, and you can see how insulated it is. You can also see to the left of that how damaged an item is. When they're ruined, you need to get rid of them because they're useless, but you can see this has high insulation, so it's going to be good for keeping out the heat. Beside that is your blood meter, so if you get scratches, you bleed, you need to heal that up with a bandage. And then to the right of that is your health, so you got to keep that up because it reaches the end, you die, you lose your character forever, permadeath. And then beside the water is a sickness, so I'm actually sick, and you can fend that off by using like medicines. I'm trying to do it with multivitamins right now. It's not really being too effective. But you can see my water and my food. So some items give you both, and some items only give you like one thing, like a water bottle will only do water, things like that. So we've got a pear. We're going to eat the rest of the pear. But for the most part, when you eat something, you need to be smart about it. So some food, and I know it sounds weird, but like in real life, when you eat certain types of food, they expand more. So if you have something like, I guess you could say cereal to a degree, but like rice. So rice, you don't want to eat a lot of it because it's going to expand in your character's stomach because it's volumetric. So you can actually fill up more than what you need. So you kind of eat it in bits, if that makes sense. So you do a little bit at a time. You don't want to eat too much because, again, it's, it can make you sick, you can vomit, and then your character will, lose more food and water. So it's like helping you out. And as you can see with 3 arrows, that means those bars are going up, and hopefully they'll keep up at white. You want to keep them at yellow to white, as much as possible. And you also want to deal with the coal too, right? Wow, already going down. The systems are a little bit brutal these days for keeping those up there, so we're going to just like finish off the jam too. Great. So another big part of kind of movement and stuff is your inventory. So you click the back button, you can tab over RB, LB, and then when you're on a tab, you can do like RT and LT in order to go up and down your inventory really fast. Keeping in mind when you're at the top here, you can do LT in order to get down to the bottom really fast, and you just see all the different parts of your inventory. And as you can tell, your inventory has so many slots. So it's 42 slots for my backpack that I have. You can get different types of backpacks. Some are bigger, some are smaller. And you can see every item has like a slot. There's like 6. This takes up 2. You know, things like that. That's going to take up so much space. So you got to kind of keep that in mind when you're managing your inventory. And you press A to take stuff out of it. You can hold X to drop it. Do stuff like that. So we're going to kind of do something, I guess, a little bit wild. So we got like the green glow stick here. So if you want to throw things in the game, so you got something in your hand, you can hold X and your character will drop it onto the floor. And then you can hold X to get it in your kind of hands, or you can tap X to put it in your inventory. So that's just dropping something. I just want to get it on the ground. I want to pick something else up. I just drop it, right? Next up is throwing. So you double tap X, and then you're able to get into a throwing stance. Then you hold RT for how hard you want it, and then you release, and your character will throw an item. That doesn't really do anything. It just kind of gets rid of it. So if you're at night, and you've got a glow stick, or you got like a torch or something like that, because it's got day-night cycles, so you need light at night, and that's why I had light attached to my backpack here, so I could actually use that. You can have a walkie-talkie, and you can have a torch, which is, you know, obviously helpful in that regard. So you can also hold down on the D-pad if you want to do a proximity chat with others, which is kind of nice. And now we're going to talk about doing hotkeying. So hotkeying is very important for your items. So holding RB, you're going to have this hotkey menu. And you can get more slots if you have, you know, certain types of like equipment, different backpacks or something like that. So this allows me to easily press A and I can get an item out and I can use it, right? Super helpful. So we're in our inventory. I want to hotkey the bat. I click in the left stick on the highlighted item. I go to the slot. I press A and it's there. Easy as pie. So you can click RB again, press A, you know, pick all the stuff up. You have to have a spot in your inventory though in order to actually be able to swap stuff really fast, so keep that in mind. And you can also now have 2 guns or 2 melee weapons, or a melee weapon and a gun in these 2 slots at the top, so keep that in mind. And if you have, I keep saying that, but seriously, do think about that when you're trying to learn about the game. And you can quick change things. So if I found another shirt on the ground, I could just press Y and I could swap them. But you do have to manually swap all of this stuff within there too, which is, again, important aspect to think about when you are playing. Wow, I am just absolutely not fending off this sickness at all. Unbelievable. And I don't know if we should talk about weaponry. Okay, anyways, we'll go over this part right now. So you can hold right on the D-pad, and this can open up communications. You can say helpful things or negative things. So you just kind of hold that, you press A, your character will do like a move. Very helpful, just kind of letting people know if you're not talking. You can double tap the right stick, and you can go into first person. Then you can hold LT and get a punching stance and press RT to hit. You don't have to be in first person to do it. You can do third person. I prefer to play in third person because you get to see more, but you know, all to their own. I do find that first person, if you're doing combat against zombies, you can be a little bit more effective in first person for lining up those hits, and you can maybe get headshots, which kill people faster. And then you can also sidestep, so you can tap RB or LB, and your character will do a sidestep that allows you to kind of move out of the way. It does cost you stamina, keep that in mind, but you know, it could save your life when you're doing combat. Another cool thing is when you're moving, you can hold LB, and then you can press the right stick in order to kind of look around without necessarily stopping your character from moving forward. So that's kind of a really helpful thing to keep in mind. I like this little test zone. I don't know about other people, but I think this test zone's a really good spot. Oh, and yeah, I normally don't say this, but you know, liking the video and stuff, comments, if I've been covering things well, it definitely helps me out. And if you do find it helpful, I think it's kind of a, you know, good thing. Anyways, if I miss anything, of course, let me know too. So now we're going to be talking about opening things. So in the game, you know, you're going to come across stuff like canned peaches, where it's like, oh, I can't eat this, right? So you need to open it. So either you have a can opener, which are kind of semi-rare, you might come across them, or not. So this is the combining mechanic of the game. So we got the canned peaches, and then we go over an object that we can open it with, like a sharp object, like a knife. Then we press B to combine, and then we hold RT, and we're now opening the can. And you get a little tiny circle there, lets you know. And then we have canned peaches that are now open and edible for us to enjoy, which is fantastic. And yeah, we're going to putting that there. Next up, we've got rags. So rags are the same. We're probably going to go get cut by a zombie later, so we can show this off. But you got your rags, you're bleeding, you'll have a little scratch icon beside your little row of icons there, and then you hold RT and you can, you know, put the rag on and help yourself up. You can also press Y to split items, and you can also combine items too if they're the same item. You got multiple bullets and stuff like that. So now we're going to show guns. So we've got one gun that's got ammunition here. So in this game, you actually have to really deal with guns to the full degree. So let's start just by, kind of shooting a gun. So LT, or you could just, well, it's just LT. You can't just like quick shoot it. So LT, and then you can shoot. I'm not going to waste my ammo because it's kind of important. Or you can click in the right stick again in order to actually get an aim in there so we can have a little bit better of a shot. And usually you'd be able to also change your fire rate. So we got semi-auto there. I wonder if I can actually do that on a gun that doesn't have any ammo on it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's right on the D-pad. When you're aimed in, you can do right on the D-pad. Maybe it's left. Oh, left on the D-pad, sorry. Left on the D-pad. It's a little laggy when it's doing that. So left on the D-pad, on the bottom left corner there, you're seeing that I'm able to change from full auto to semi-auto. So some guns you can shoot like a single shot or something like that, which might be more tactical for you, depending on the situation at play, right? You could be using like an AK over a long distance, and you want to have that scope in there. And I don't think I have like a full scope, but you're actually able to like fully zoom into some scopes. Like you might have like an iron sight and then like an actual like holographic or something. You can zoom in there, like kind of doing the first person, and then doing like a little extra thing on there. And you can see we can shift around corners too. So we're in here. Damn, I'm on this one. So we can actually like hold RB in order to go this way, where you can look around and actually be able to shoot around an object. And you could do LB as well if you want to look that way too, if you want to look to the left. So I hope that kind of covers that. And I don't want to change my perspective. So zoom in with an item, and then you can like LB, RB to switch back and forth between where you're looking. There we go, we got that. So now we're going to show off ammunition. So we've got a magazine here. You can load single bullets into a gun, holding Y, but there's also ammo. So we're going to take out the mag, and we're going to put it in our hands. So we don't have any more ammo that we can put out, so we're going to actually empty all the bullets here. I hope somebody doesn't come and try to kill us. Which would be funny. So we've emptied the magazine, and there's nothing in there. So we can either go to the inventory, and we can click B to combine and start loading it that way, or we could just hold the Y button and we could start putting bullets into the magazine, seeing it fill up there. Great. So then we can combine that with the gun that we just had, which right there. So we have to put the gun in our hands first, but we're going to drop the magazine because we're going to show attaching on the ground. So we're going to sometimes the inventory is a little cumbersome, but it is what it is. So we got that there, and then you can see we can press RT to attach it, and our character will do that. Or again, we can go throw that on the ground, and we can press B on it and add it into the gun. There we go. Some guns might actually have like a magazine there, but make sure you press the Y button. It might say like 0 and 10 instead of 1 and 10. Make sure you press the Y button to actually make sure that it is slotted so that you can actually use the gun. Because, you don't want to get into a situation where, your gun's not loaded. So there's also the element of shoes and gloves. So if you're going to be sliding down ladders, make sure you have gloves or you can cut your hands and bleed. And if you're running long distances, make sure that you occasionally change your shoes because your shoes can get damaged and you can bleed off your feet. Kind of a pain, but that's just how it goes. Okay, so we covered that element of it. We've got our food, we've got our vitamins. So we're actually pretty well set up at this point, just in terms of, kind of dealing with things and going over the base mechanics. So now we're going to be going into the world and doing a little bit of the looting system. So I think we covered, most of the basics of moving around, the different options for how you look in the world and stuff like that, and how you fight people, and we talked about the inventory, the different slots. The vicinity is around you, the hands are your hands, and then your equipment, you got your clothing items at the top here, the 2 slots that we talked about, and then all these other slots that you'll have based on the types of equipment that you have available to you. So when you're playing in the world, it can be very hard to know where you're going. So I do suggest using this thing online called DayZ Survive, so either in the web browser or going, there's an app for it too, and it's just a map of the game, and it's got really great icons. So a lot of the game also has to do with crafting. So we can go up here, and we can actually take these hiking pants with a sharp object, and we can cut them up into something that's actually usable, and that's like regs. So we just made new regs that we could use in case we get cut, which I think is really great and very helpful. So you can also do that with other things. You can go up to stuff like a bush, and you can cut the bush because you might want to make a fire, right? So you can actually do this. Good thing we have gloves because you could cut your hands. There's like a percentage chance that you get doing that as well. So, and then we got a stick. We got a glitch stick. There we go. And we just made a stick, so we could put like food on the stick. I don't think we have food for that, but you know, you can put food on the stick, and you can cook the stick, or cook the stick, but cook the food on the stick. You used to also be able to do like, I don't know if they have that right now, but you could take bones and you could put it with the stick, and then you'd be able to actually, you know, kind of have like a spear. I don't know if they had the spear back in yet, but it was a very powerful kind of weapon to have initially right off the bat. Because, you know, it's just kind of a hard thing to come across. Am I really that low on inventory? Or do I need to open things up? So we need 8 slots. So this is kind of a good test here of slotting things around. So I think we can move that. We might be able to put it... yeah, we need the stick. Okay, there we go. We might need the stick. I'm just wondering if we're going to come across something where I can use it later to show something off is the big thing. So yeah, when you're moving around, you know, you might want to keep your kind of hands open. That's totally up to you. Always got to be eating in this game. It drives me nuts. Ugh, it's better now, but it's still a pain. But yeah, you also got to watch because like food can get rotten in that too. Oh look, there's some bullets for a shotgun. And yeah, if you're ever needing like info about stuff, like you can just wave over it, and a second later it'll pop up on the screen. We showed that earlier, but especially for like bullets, because you gotta have bullets that fit magazines. So it's like 7.62, and then we go to this like magazine here, and it needs, you know, 919. You gotta actually find that type of thing, and like the guns all take different types of ammunition too, right? So 380, you could actually, I could hold Y and just like put a bullet in here. You could see, and I could just use a single shot bullet. Wouldn't be too helpful, but I could, you know, that's an option too. Climbing ladders, you go up to them and you press X, and then you can hold the left stick. You can go up them faster, or you can hold the left stick to slide down them. Again comes the part where you could possibly bleed from your hands if you're not wearing like gloves and stuff, and your gloves can get damaged sliding down things. So a lot of the interaction in the world is just pressing the X button to do stuff like doors, closing them. I like to trap zombies in rooms and then close the doors, and the zombies can't get out. It's kind of very helpful. It's an interesting mechanic. And yeah, and then you gotta watch out for different types of buildings. So different buildings will have different things. We're in an industrial type area right now, so it's gonna be more like, you might find some melee weapons, you might find something for fixing up a car, you might find, we're lucky to find some ammunition there that we don't really need. Actually, do I have an unpacked 919 here? That's 380. I was just thinking about it earlier. No, maybe it was on PlayStation. I got the the 919, but yeah, glow sticks. Oh, is that my glow stick? So I can press Y, and you can see it went right onto my clothing. So if you've got a slot that's open, you can press Y, and it just like pops right to it, and it'll go to it like it should. I'm going to swap the shoes there, so we got new shoes now that are less worn in. And yeah, so furthermore, the game does have a lot of like natural elements to it. Oh, we're going to deal with a zombie. So if you hit the zombie in the back, you can like insta-kill them, right? But I want to show off getting cut. This is gonna be, it's gonna be touchy. Okay, I want to show off getting cut. So zombies, they're not the brightest, but they'll hurt you. See, you gotta kind of, okay, we got a cut, so now we're gonna take out the zombie. Usually you would do stealth, you'd go behind them and you take them out. So we got cut. You can see that we've got an icon on our screen that shows we are bleeding. Now we can hold RT, and we can bandage ourselves up, and then we're good to go. You see the sign back there? Signs are a great way to tell what town you're in case you're wondering. It's not in English, so yeah, that doesn't help a lot, but it's kind of how it goes. You see, we're now done cut, or we're now no longer cut. We're no longer bleeding. But notice, you can see in the bottom right there that we actually have lost some blood. Your screen will become more and more desaturated, where it'll be basically become more and more gray over time, and based on basically your injury and how much blood you've lost. So that's kind of a neat mechanic of it. And again, seeing the food and water go down. If you're walking, you lose less food and water while doing so. It's really lagging for some reason, the server, which is not good. But I do want to show off the mechanic that I like to do, where I kind of trick zombies into rooms. This is not the best room to kind of show this off here, especially with a leg. Yeah, usually you do like sheds and that, but this is like really laggy. And when you log out, you actually have to wait 15 seconds, otherwise you could like get killed if you're, you know, kind of just quitting out of the game all the way. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of zombies around here. Okay. My mechanic's not really going to work too well because the zombies are... like, it's lagging right now for whatever reason, so it's not really too helpful. But yeah, when you go into rooms, you look around, so you might find stuff on tables, you might find things anywhere. You can use these to, like, cooking. It's kind of nice. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Okay, let's go this way. Oh, jeez. Yeah, we're going to have a hard time getting out of here, I think. Just because of the lag, it's going to probably really screw me over. So my kits might be good for fixing stuff, too. Really depends on what you come across. That's a police station. That's a good spot for finding like gun type things. It's mostly like these houses. You're gonna find, you know, resources like food and that. The greenhouses are particularly great for finding food. You can also find food off of zombies right now, which is pretty good and decently helpful. You kind of want to stay around the spawn land, which is going to be more like the shore, until you get enough supplies to head outwards into the regular world of Chernarus, which is kind of neat. But I think, you know, for the most part, I've kind of shown off a lot of the mechanics of the game and given you a good idea of everything that I can think of off the top of my head that would be, you know, particularly helpful for understanding how to play the game and, you know, kind of being a little bit more effective at your gameplay experience for survival. Obviously, the game's got a lot of really intense mechanics to it, a lot of, you know, kind of challenging moments and different things that, like, kind of add different challenge to you as you try to survive. I thought there was another zombie. There we go. I hope you like this kind of style. A lot of people don't play like this, but I think this is a really good way of dealing with zombies without having to fight them and risk getting like cut up and getting your stuff damaged and everything like that. But, you know, totally up to you and how you want to play as well, right? Just mostly trying to think of if I've missed anything, but, you know, like food, greenhouses and stuff, finding them there. You might get stuff for gardening too. If you want to do gardening, you get like a shovel pickaxe, you make like a garden plot, you do that. Not gonna be in here. You can even find like sodas and stuff. Nothing lucky this time, but you know. And then there's these buildings are kind of like health buildings, so you can find like medical type things in them. Here I like to call them the storage war stuff. So sometimes you might find shovels and melee type weapons. That's a firehouse. That's where you'll find here I have great. You know, a lot of slots, very well done. Fire axes, very helpful. Very effective against zombies as well, and people. You gotta remember, people are a little bit different than zombies. Make sure that you actually kill people when you kill them. Like, hover over their body and make sure they're actually dead, because, you know, they can get back up after they've been knocked out. So that's something to keep in mind. These buildings sometimes have, food in them. I can't believe you got that swat off. I did not like that at all. And, yeah, trees, if you go to the, apple trees, sometimes you might find that they have food below them that you can use, which is kind of helpful. These buildings aren't as great for food resources. Sometimes there's puddles of water in the world that could make you sick and give you, cholera and stuff like that, but, you know, those are decent. And there's water fountains you can find as well around the world. Those are a little bit helpful, more clean. And, yeah, I hope you found this kind of helpful in your experience of trying to survive the wasteland of Chernarus, which is quite a large area. And you can see kind of staying around the shore. This is what the DayZ I Survive map would show you, and that's why I kind of suggest it. So maps are actually kind of rare, so you don't come across them too often, and I don't find them to be particularly helpful on stuff. But yeah, I guess that's really everything. You know, if you get a boxed ammo, you actually got to unpack it, and paper drops out. But I think that covers all the basics of, kind of going through the game. Keep in mind, crafting is a lot of combining, doing RT on stuff to impact it. So we can show that quickly on the ground. So we get an axe, and then we could combine it in order to make it into smaller sticks and stuff. And sometimes stuff will be on the ground, and you can interact it in that way. But yeah, I hope you found this helpful, and we'll probably update it again in the future. But I think that covers the basics of everything at the current point in time.